André Rieu. The name alone brings images of grand concerts, golden violins, and audiences swept away by music that feels timeless. But behind that brilliant smile and those mesmerizing waltzes lies a story few truly know. At 76, the tragedy of André Rieu is beyond heartbreaking. Born in Maastricht, the Netherlands, André grew up surrounded by classical music. His father was a conductor, and from an early age, André's world revolved around symphonies, rehearsals, and the pursuit of perfection. But that same perfection came at a cost. André's relationship with his father was marked by pressure and expectation. Music became both his gift and his burden. He would later say that while his father gave him music, he never gave him love. That wound followed André for life. As he built his Johann Strauss orchestra, André faced endless rejection. Critics dismissed his style as too sentimental, too light, too commercial. Yet audiences adored him. His concerts filled stadiums, and millions watched his DVDs around the world. But few knew what was happening behind the curtain. In 2010, André Rieu faced one of the darkest moments of his career. A sudden illness struck him down. It wasn't physical pain that crushed him most, but the silence. The man who lived for music couldn't perform. For months, he suffered from a viral infection in his inner ear that caused vertigo so severe he couldn't stand, let alone play the violin. Concerts were canceled. Fans were disappointed. Financial losses were massive. But the emotional toll? Unimaginable. André sank into depression, fearing he'd never step on stage again. Imagine dedicating your entire life to music, only to be trapped in silence. He once confessed, "I thought my career was over. I thought my life was over." Yet somehow he fought back. Slowly, painfully, he returned. But it wasn't the same. The sparkle in his eyes, though still there, hid years of pain and exhaustion. He continued touring, smiling for the world, while carrying the weight of his struggles in silence. And then came personal heartbreak. The constant travel, the pressure, the need to keep his orchestra alive. It took a toll on his family. Though André has often credited his wife Marjorie as his rock, those who know him say that loneliness still shadows his success. He once admitted that fame is a double-edged sword. People see the glamour, not the isolation. They hear the applause, not the tears backstage. At 76, André Rieu remains a legend. But his journey is more than waltzes and violins. It's about endurance, heartbreak, and courage. His tragedy is not in failure, but in the pain that often comes with greatness. André Rieu's story reminds us that even the most beautiful music can come from a place of deep sorrow. And perhaps that's why his melodies move us so deeply. Because every note carries a piece of his soul, and every performance, no matter how grand, hides the quiet heartbreak of a man who gave everything to his art. André Rieu, the king of the waltz, the man whose bow could make millions smile even as his own heart broke in silence. At 76, André's story has turned from triumph to quiet reflection. The world still sees him as the eternal showman, dressed in elegance, leading his orchestra with joy and grace. But behind those glittering lights, André has faced the cruel passage of time. The body that once danced effortlessly with the violin now carries the weariness of decades spent under the spotlight. The endless tours, sleepless nights, and constant pressure have taken their toll. Friends say he moves slower now, his eyes softer, his words heavier. Yet when he steps on stage, it's as if he's 20 again. That's the power of music. It keeps him alive, even as age whispers its truth. But Andre's deepest heartbreak isn't age, it's loss. Over the years, he said goodbye to dear friends, fellow musicians, and even fans who became like family. Each concert holds memories of those who once stood beside him. Each empty chair in his orchestra is a reminder of time's cruelty. He carries those memories with him, every note filled with gratitude and grief. But perhaps the greatest tragedy lies in the silence he knows will one day come, the day his violin will rest forever. Andre once said, "Music is my life. Without it, I am nothing." And that's the heartbreak, knowing that one day the music must stop. But until that day comes, he plays on, through pain, through loss, through the endless march of time. Because André Rieu's life has never been about perfection. It's been about passion, about turning sorrow into beauty, about showing the world that even in tragedy, there is melody. And as he stands before thousands, bow in hand, the lights shining softly on his face, you can feel it, that bitter-sweet mix of joy and pain. The applause roars, the orchestra swells, and André smiles. Not because he's free from heartbreak, but because he's learned to make it sing. André Rieu, the man who made the world waltz. Yet as the curtain rises and the music begins, only he knows the weight of the moments that led him here. At 76, André's life is a symphony of light and shadow. Every smile hides a storm. Every bow of his violin carries echoes of pain and resilience. The world sees the sparkle, the grand stages, the flowing tales, the standing ovations. But few see the struggle that still lingers behind his charm. After his illness, André became more aware of time. He often spoke about how fragile everything truly is. The laughter, the applause, the joy, it all fades too quickly. He once said, "When I'm on stage, I feel young. When I walk off, reality returns." And that reality has grown heavier with each passing year. His wife, Marjorie, continues to be his anchor. Their love, though strong, has endured the strain of a life lived mostly in motion. Andre spends most of his days traveling, rehearsing, and managing an orchestra that feels more like a family than a business. But even family can't shield you from the ache of solitude. There are nights when Andre returns to his hotel room, the music still echoing in his mind, and the silence feels deafening. The cheers fade, the lights dim, and the only sound left is his heartbeat. Slow, steady, but tired. Yet he refuses to stop. Because André Rieu was never meant to live without music. It's not a career. It's not a performance. It's who he is. The violin is not an instrument. It's his voice, his soul, his reason to keep going. But time, as gentle and cruel as it is, has begun to whisper its warning. His hands, once unshakable, sometimes tremble. His eyes, once full of endless fire, now hold a quiet sadness. And still he plays, because to stop would be to surrender the very essence of who he is. Andre knows that the day will come when he must set the bow down, when the music will fall silent for the last time. And when that moment comes, it will not be the end of his story, but the beginning of his legend. Because long after the final note fades, the world will still dance to the melodies of André Rieu. His music will live on, in weddings, in memories, in hearts that still believe in beauty. And that, perhaps, is his greatest triumph. From heartbreak to harmony, André Rieu has turned every sorrow into song. And even as the years take their toll, one truth remains unshaken. His music will never die. André Rieu, the name that still echoes in concert halls, in living rooms, in the hearts of millions who have been touched by his magic. At 76, his journey stands as both a celebration and a quiet heartbreak. He often says that every concert feels like a goodbye, a moment borrowed from time itself. When he lifts his bow, he feels the weight of all the years, all the faces that once filled his orchestra, all the dreams that kept him moving forward even when his body begged him to stop. The tragedy of André Rieu is not only found in illness or age, it's found in the reality that the world he built demands everything from him. The endless travel, the sleepless nights, the perfection he chases, all come with a silent price. He laughs on stage. He weeps off it. The man who gives joy to millions often returns to a quiet room where only memories keep him company. Yet that is where Andre finds his truest peace, in remembering. The early days of struggle, the times he doubted himself, the moments when one melody changed everything. He remembers standing in empty halls, dreaming of one day hearing them roar with applause. He remembers rejection, ridicule, the critics who said he'd never make classical music matter to ordinary people. And he remembers proving them all wrong. But even victory can be lonely. Andre once said, "Success is beautiful, but it doesn't fill the silence." That silence is what haunts him now. The world grows quieter with each passing friend, each season that slips away. Yet every time he steps onto the stage, that silence transforms. The audience rises. The violins soar. And for those moments, André Rieu becomes timeless again. The pain fades. The years vanish. Only the music remains. That is the true story behind the tragedy, the balance between glory and grief. Because André has given everything to make the world dance. And though his heart carries the scars of time, his legacy sings louder than ever. His music has turned sorrow into hope, loneliness into light. And even as the curtain falls, André Rieu reminds us that the most beautiful melodies often come from the deepest pain. So when we listen to him now, when that violin cries and then soars, we're not just hearing a man play. We're hearing a lifetime of love, loss, and courage woven into every note. And that is why, even at 76, André Rieu's story is far from over. The tragedy may be heartbreaking, but the music, his music, will never stop playing.